But making mistakes is part of life. And that's where we learn. We go feel sad. We go through, we have to always get best marks, 10 out of 10, or 9 out of 10. We make mistakes, that's what we learn. Without mistakes, we never any growth. So many great discoveries, especially in things like science, come when people make mistakes. When we're not afraid to try new combinations. Many years ago, I was invited to give the keynote address at the World Computer Conference in 2019 over in Seoul, South Korea. They paid me business class air tickets, 5-star hotel, all expenses paid, and eventually they gave a $2,000 donation to a BSWA, all for just like a half-an-hour talk. Very good earner, they said in the UK. But anyhow, why did they ask me to actually teach keynote address at a World Computer Conference? Many people ask me that question. And the reason why we learn in this way is similarly I said about something which happened in a big conference many years earlier in St. Louis, USA. In this conference in St. Louis, USA, about 100 years ago, you notice like any other event which people have, you have to eat. And so they had stalls selling food at this big conference. One stall was the ice cream stall. The other stall was selling waffles. You know what a waffle is? Yeah?
It's some kind of a breakfast food.
Yeah, it's like a pancake.
With syrup and some. You could put like some chocolate in it.
There's many different types, but mostly it's like a pancake.
What fudge?
Yeah.
One.
But anyway, this was 100 years ago, and the guy selling the waffles was next to the guy selling the ice cream. What do ice creams have to do with waffles? The two guys became friends, and they decided to combine a waffle with an ice cream. And that's where was invented the ice cream cone. It's called innovation, working together. And sometimes many of those innovations just don't work. But sometimes they do. And when they do, it's a great progress for our societies. And making mistakes shows you that you're willing to experiment, to try new things. And that's what school is all about. Just doing things which other people haven't done before. Some of those will be bad, and the teacher will get in trouble. But the teacher should defend you to the max. Because this is where innovation comes from. And it does. I remember just the labs in Cambridge University. This guy was doing experiments, and he had this big electronic equipment, and it blew up. Bang, it went. And I thought he'd get in big trouble. So the owner of that particular lab said, no, you were trying a new thing, it didn't work this time. Next time it might do. So that's where we have research. Well-minded people doing interesting things, and just taking away some of the barriers of what we think we should be doing. Anyway, that's me talking. A few other people come in now. Does any of you wanted to ask any question, or just want me to carry on speaking? As a school teacher, I never wanted this to be a monologue. I want to answer questions. What's the purpose of life? That's a nice easy question. Anybody know? Okay. Make it easy. That's much easier. Can you hear me okay? Or worse? Okay. How's that? Very good. So, here's what will come in. You know my name. If you told you who I am, Ajahn Brahm. What does the word Brahm mean? It's the meaning of my name. It's B for Buddhist, R for Roman Catholic, A for Anglican, H for Hindu, M for Muslim. Brahm. You try to create peace and harmony between all particular faiths. A good explanation for you. How many fingers are there on a hand?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
See, that's correct. You didn't make any mistakes. I prefer when people make mistakes. Okay, which is the most important finger on the hand?
1, 2, 3,
Most important.
5.
This one. Why? The most important. Sometimes people ask that question. Which is the most important finger on the hand? And this finger said, me. I am the most important finger because I am the opposable thumb. And when you say, okay, when you've done a good thing, you put my finger up. Well done, good. And this one said, no. I am the most important finger on the hand. I am the finger of wisdom. I point things out to people. And when you say number one, who do you put up? Me. I'm the number one finger, the finger of wisdom. And this one said, no, I'm the middle finger, and I have the most power. You put me up the other way around, and you know how much power I have. I'm not going to do that. I'm a monk. And I'm being obedient. I'll get in big trouble. And then this one said, no, I am the most important finger. I am the finger of love. And when you wear a wedding ring, which ring do you put on? Oops. Hello. When you engagement ring, what finger gets the engagement ring? This one. So I'm the finger of love. Without love, where is this world? And next, this one said, no, you're all wrong. All four of you are wrong. I am the most important finger. Even though I'm small, even though you use me to do dirty things, to clean up. Even so, if you're a Buddhist or a Christian, you pay respects to say today to the Buddha, who is closest to the Buddha? The little. Yes. So we always say that in the temple, and I teach that to people who run churches or mosques. Please make sure you tell the kids they're the most important. Please tell those who clean up the school afterwards they're most important. Then you get many helpers in your class. They'll clean up after you. So anyway, that's added my name. And this finger, whoops. Still going on? Yeah. This particular finger here, the finger of love. What is love? This is one of the stories I wanted to include in this little talk. This was the story of my father. My father died when I was only 16. But before he passed away, he gave me some wonderful advice. One of those pieces of advice was he told me, even though he was very poor, he said to me, whatever you do in your life, son, whatever you do, the door of my heart will always be open to you. Like somebody tells you, whatever you do in your life, even if you're notorious, if you've done some bad mistakes, you still have, an open door to maybe your parents, friends, teachers, what we call the unconditional love. And that meant so much to me. I would always have my father's love, no matter what I ever did. And that kind of changed my life. Even your son, Dinath. Yes, good. Even Dinath, what did he do? He died on you. He left you. Have you closed the door of your heart to him? And can you open it that much more? Say, whatever you've done, you'll never understand it. Why? You think you can, but you don't. I've been to many, unfortunately, families whose young child had committed suicide. And nevertheless, even though they knew him, they tried to understand why. They never could. But that doesn't mean you take away your love and care for him. Whatever you decided to do, still, you're my son, you're my friend, you're my student at school. And that is the most important. You'll always have a place in my heart. And I'll never be sad for you. Instead, I'll learn from the mistakes which you made, which I made, so that we can grow into better human beings. Do you remember him? How do you remember him? He's here. You remember him as with, I could have done better. Never remember him like that. Remember him with, you were a friend. And a friend who will miss, we love, and we'll never stop that love. The door of my heart will always be open. No matter what you've ever done. No matter who you ever become. So that's another way of expressing our care. Have you known other people who've ever passed away and died? What did they give you? What did you inherit from them? You don't inherit things. You inherit attitudes, experiences. I hope you may understand this story. When I was a teenager, I loved music. I grew up in London. I would go to all these concerts with great musicians. I don't know what type of music you like these days. But there's one guy, I remember going to his concerts when I was only maybe 16 or 17. And I was really surprised that only 6 people turned up to watch him. I was one of those 6. And I saw it on the news that he was at the Glastonbury Festival. You know the Glastonbury Festival in the UK? Petersburg, not just in the UK. It was plastered over everywhere. This guy was actually singing at Glastonbury. He was 80 years old now. He was still singing in this big rock festival. But anyway, he's the guy I saw when I was only about 16. About, how many years ago was that? About almost 60 years ago. He's still going on. And he was a good singer at that time. But after the concert was over, after a great concert, what did you think I did? He clapped and asked for more. He played a little bit longer. Then eventually, he had to go home, go to another sort of appointment or concert later on. I had to go another direction. We meet each other just for a short time. When that time is over, we go separate directions. But I never cried at the end of a great concert. Do you like music? You guys? You ever feel sad when the concert's over? Or do you feel like you're so lucky you've been there at the time? You're so fortunate. Thank you so much. That's how I felt at the end of a concert with Rod Stewart. Now Sir Rod Stewart, Rod, I don't know. But anyway, he's still alive and he's still entertaining people. But anyway, when my father died, that's how I felt. I felt like clapping. Well done, Dad. Thank you for being such a wonderful dad. A bit short. I would have appreciated a longer performance. And nevertheless, 16 years. It was a wonderful gift that you've given me. How old was Dinath?
70.
70. You got an extra year there. That's wonderful. Unfortunate. Instead of regretting him, regretting that he's now not here for you, not here as a friend, he said, thank you for a wonderful performance. For me, I never thought then or now that I lost something. I always thought I gained a lot by having him as a dad for such a long time. 16 years. I remember many of the things he taught me. What are your favourite memories of Dinath? What sort of things did you get up to which you haven't told anyone about? That's what I like when we do I do funeral services. I've done that for so many years now. And that's when you really find out about people, what they meant for others. And so many, like Sri Lankans, sometimes they say they were great cooks. They did wonderful, and they were just so generous and kind. Because when they were cooking, everyone else from the street came round. Some of the things, I used to be a cook also, as well as all these other things I got up to. I started making my own bread when I was at college. I soon gave that up. You know why? Because as soon as the bread came out of the oven, it was cooked. So many people could smell it, they all came and asked for some. And that's supposed to be my supply of bread for the week. It lasted about half an hour. Everybody ate it. I was very happy to do that. But the idea of being a kind, generous person, that's what people remember you by. Do they remember you by being a graduate from university, or how high your grades were? Is that why people remember you? What do they remember you for? Being a kind, honest, caring, a person who underserves. And that's what you remember by. Those inner characters. And for Dinath, what do you remember him by? Nothing? You write exam paper, you don't give any answers at all. I remember once at art class when I was at school, for the homework, they submitted a painting. There was nothing on the drawing. It was a blank sheet of paper. I said, what's that? I said, I call that cow eating grass. Where's the grass? Cow's eating it also. Where's the cow? Going to the next field to get some more. I got into trouble for that. I hope teachers have senses of humour these days. Do they? Yeah, do. Okay. So, what do you remember people by? What do you remember people by?
The memories we've had?
Yeah. The fun memories, honesty, caring for one another, standing up for one another. Is that true? What else? What else do you remember? One of the things I always remember is they were good at soccer, because I used to love playing soccer when I was young. And they stopped me playing soccer because I was a really good soccer player, but nevertheless, so they said studying books was more important. That's how I ended up in Cambridge. If I'd have carried on playing soccer, I'd have probably been a multi-millionaire. I said I was going to tell this story. There was a gentleman over in Poland. One of the monks was talking to me about him. He's a multi-millionaire. And how he became a multi-millionaire, please I apologise for saying the story. He loved playing computer games. He invented his own. It became, I think, the top computer game in Europe for a while. Now he's a multi-millionaire. Unfortunately, he's a Buddhist in Poland. So he wants to donate the next monastery for our monks over in Poland. He said, yeah, mums and dads, if your kids don't like doing homework, they love playing computer games, that could pay off your retirement benefits forever and build a good monastery as well. That makes sense? I don't know, the teachers are scouting at me. But no, it's lovely to encourage to see what they can do and how they can do it. But I know the one thing that I've got the reputation. I remember going to Dalhousie University in Halifax, California, Canada, a few years ago. There was a Sri Lankan lady there. She was actually a genius doing plant technology, but she also had suffered from cancer and managed to get through that. So she invited me to come and talk to their group out of gratitude, for helping sort of use meditation to overcome cancers. But there, apparently, the Vice Chancellor of Dalhousie was a physicist as well. So we had a nice chat together. And one of the things I said to him was, that every university has like a kind of a motto or something. The one they had in Latin didn't make any sense to me. So there's one of these sayings I always remembered and try to practice. And that was where everyone thinks the same. No one thinks at all. You understand that? Where everybody thinks the same. No one thinks at all. Part of knowledge, part of discovery, the excitement of learning is actually look a bit deeper. Look at things in a different way that no one has seen before. That is where great discoveries are made, wherever you are. It's not the pursuit of knowledge, but the exploration of knowledge. To see what other people haven't seen, you can see. And that becomes so incredible. That's what education really should be about. Not training people to do the same as everybody else does. I'm going to get in trouble again here, because at the University of Cambridge, I had graffiti on the wall. My favourite graffiti on the wall was where exams. Exams kill by degrees. Exams, you can be very good at passing exams, but do you really understand the subject? Like even English. English is not what you examine, it's what you feel. Even though I was a theoretical physicist, I used to carry around with me a gift. Other people were surprised. What are you carrying that for? I thought you were studying physics. I was carrying around John Keats. He was one of my favourite poets. And I did that simply because it inspired me. And you could sit down and read little poems. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. As in the opening lines of In the Moon. Anyway, these were stuff which inspired a future monk, which really motivated sort of a potential scientist. Things which really hit your heart and gave it meaning. Everybody thinks the same, no one thinks at all. So anyhow, that's actually where we can understand life. It's one of the things I'm noticing. There's two girls here. Why are you sitting apart from the boys? You know why? Because sometimes we train that way. You know, just not a girl, they're a boy. You have to sit over here, you have to sit over there. Is that right? At school, do you sit aside? Do you talk to each other? You guys? You don't. Yeah. Why not? A lot of times, because of fear stops us expressing ourselves, learning from ourselves. And if any guy ever talks to you, let him make a lot of mistakes. He gets more nervous than you do when you talk to him. Make sense? Okay, I've done a lot of the talking. I'm not sure if I'm going out of line here. So, can you interrupt me with a nice question or comment? Am I missing the point here? Or am I helping out with a few important words? Ah, yes. We've got things like you were touching your strings. What are those strings? If you got one of those strings on, it's a bag for your clock. Why do we have like strings on people's wrists? Do you know? No, they're called pivot strings. Pivot is some of the holy chanting which we do in Buddhism, especially Theravada Buddhism. And that's why you're wearing some of those. They're supposed to protect you, give you good luck. Do you believe in that? You know, when was it when Sri Lanka won the World Cup cricket fun? I thought you'd always know that. All Sri Lankans know that. Other stuff they don't know. When they got married or what. And I'll tell you a story about that. Believe it or not, it's true. 1996, there was a warm-up match for the World Cup cricket finals. Those World Cup cricket finals were held in India and Sri Lanka. And this particular warm-up match, do you play cricket? You don't. Do you have a cricket team in your school?
I was playing and Dinath all play together.
Oh, they all play together, okay. What did Dinath do? Was he a bowler or a batsman?
Yeah, off spinner.
Off spinner, okay. You know we have a few like Anagava's trainee monks, and one of them was a Sri Lankan man, and we sent him down to Albany to help Ajahn Brahm Thero in a monastery starting down in Albany, and there was a local Elika community association. They went down there to check in, to say, we're monks, we're friendly, we're not a harm to anybody. And just to prove it, this community association were playing a cricket game. So they said, the sort of Sri Lankan man, he said, can you bowl? So the Anagavakas, they wear white clothes. And so there's nothing wrong with them bowling a couple of overs. So he did, he was really good. He was a very good off spinner. But you can't actually play the game. But he said, that's very good, please go ahead and do that again. Because that really made us very popular with the local community. It's called like a fitting in to Australian community. And even when later on I went to again just check in how they're going at the community association, and that particular community association, they were having their AGM at the time, the annual general meeting. And so they were kind of like this monk down in Albany. They said, well, it's the annual general meeting, we have to elect our community president for next year. So can I nominate you to be the president of the community association for the next 12 months? And that's a lot of work, but also, this is a very smart monk. He managed to get out of that responsibility because everybody in the community association were drinking a beer. And monks can't drink beer. So because of that, he said, how can I get out of this? And he said, okay, I'll accept the nomination to be your president for the next 12 months. But one of the first acts which I will do is to ban all beer at your meetings. He didn't really want to ban anybody's glass of beer, he just didn't want to do the job. So as soon as he said that, all the members of the community association, in unison, they all shouted out, boo, boo. And so he said, okay, well, we're not going to vote for you. That's how he got out of being the president of the community association. Very smart man. Anyway, back to the strings. This was a warm-up match between an Australian 11 against the Sri Lankan national team at the Wacker, when the Wacker was still used. You know what the Wacker was? Yeah, the old cricket ground. And anyway, the lunch period, the lunch interval, that's when the 3 young Sri Lankans who were helping out with the team came to see me at Noramala Temple. And that's where they said, well, we've been sent here by the Sri Lankan cricket team because they're had a very terrible first innings. Can you make some thread for us, the period thread, to give us good luck? So I knew my cricket. I made 12 pieces of string. One was for the 12th man, sorry. I made the 12 pieces of string for them. And you know what happened? The Sri Lankan team lost. Terribly. That was only the warm-up. Then a couple of months later, the real thing, World Cup cricket. Sri Lanka did better than expected. But then they had the final against Australia in Sri Lanka. The World Cup cricket final. And of course I don't watch TV. I didn't know what happened until the following morning in the newspaper. Front page of the West Australian newspaper, when people used to read newspapers, had your captain, Ajahn Brahm Thero. You know him? He was holding up the World Cup. They'd beaten Australia in the final. And you could see on his wrist, because he was holding up the cup, do you hold up yours? You see? He had my string on him. And I kept that a secret for many years. Otherwise I would probably lose my Australian passport. And Australian one was the reason why Sri Lanka won the World Cup that year. And who was the star batsman? Yes. When did sorry, yes. He came to see me just before the last World Cup. He asked for some more string. He was the batting coach now. He wasn't actually playing anymore. So please don't admit it to him if you ever see him. I did give him some string, but I didn't bless it. One mistake is enough. But anyway, it's nice having these little stories about how you can help and serve. And that's some of the things which I remember him for. So that's one of the reasons in your whole life you learn so much. There's those funny stories which you cherish. There's those funny stories of your time with Aduna. That is what you remember forever. If you die, and sometimes somebody told this little story, which I treasure. They said, like when a person in the old days in Australia, if your, say, grandparents had to go overseas, they never went overseas in an aircraft. They went overseas in a passenger boat. And because they were going away and travel was very, very slow, all the family will be there at the quay, maybe at Fremantle, and all of your relations you love dearly will be there to wave Grandma off. And she'd be on the deck of the ship, looking at you. You'll be on the dry dock, or rather the, what do you call it, the quayside. You're not on the boat, but waving and wishing them, bon voyage or whatever you wish them. And eventually the ship will start to sail away. When the ship sails away, you stand by the quayside there, still looking. Because you know your relation will still be looking at you. And even though the ship started sailing away, and even though you could not distinguish one passenger from another in that grey mass of people on the boat, you still stay there waving until the ship went so far away that you couldn't even see masses of people just on the boat. But now you know that one of those in that grey mass was your loved one, and they would not stop looking at you until that boat got to this amazing place called the horizon. When it passed over that point on the horizon, the ship would disappear. And you know you could not see them, hear them, or feel them anymore. You knew they hadn't disappeared. They'd gone over that horizon, but not vanished forever. You knew they were still there somewhere. You still remembered them, still knew them, and you knew you were going to meet again one day. And that is actually what happens to Stephen with Dhamma. You can't hug him, you can't touch him. Can you hear him? I like these stories. I should actually probably finish off with this and get some more questions that I question from you. As Buddhists, we always understand about spirits, ghosts and stuff. I know that in some forms of Christianity they're not allowed to believe in ghosts. I remember in the old days going to the Eunorcia monastery. There was only one other abbot in the whole of Western Australia. That was the abbot of Eunorcia monastery. And that was Abbot Placid. We became very good friends. Simply because he was the only abbot here and we could actually talk abbot business together. He's the only one who understood. If there's any people who went a bit crazy and they stayed at his monastery, they would usually try to stay at my monastery, the Serpentine, as well. They would tell each other about sort of dodgy people who wanted to come and stay. He was a very good source of information, but I remember, have you ever been to the Eunorcia monastery? You know what I'm talking about, don't you? One of the oldest buildings in Western Australia. And so when he was taking me around for the first time, of course he had a conversation. And I asked him, do you, as a Benedictine monk, do you believe in ghosts? Because it's such an old monastery, there's bound to be some here somewhere. And he said, no. We're not allowed to believe in ghosts in Christianity or Catholicism. You sure about that? He said, oh yes. I said, what about Holy Ghost? He said, Ajahn Brahm, you can't have a proper conversation with you. It was a trick question. But anyhow, I love stories about things like ghosts. And I say this with seriousness. Have you heard or sensed that Dhamma is around? Have you heard it?
Yeah, last week.
Oh, excellent. What did he say?
He's happy.
Oh, that's excellent.
I talked with him about
Really? Thank you. Now, would you be deceived? Would you just be making that up? I kind of don't think so. You know that Sri Lankans, they're in front of a monk, and I'm a powerful monk. Yeah, you wouldn't lie to me. And because of that, that's giving you wonderful information. And if any of you did die for any reason, what would be the first thing you wanted to do? You want to tell the people you loved, but I'm alright, I'm happy. Even sometimes say, please forgive me for what I did. I didn't mean to hurt you. Made a wrong decision. They want to let you know. And sometimes it's wonderful how those things happen. One of those stories, in an old people's home, there was these two elderly people, a man and a woman. They weren't related. They were just in rooms next to each other. So of course they started talking to one another. And they were very amenable, very friendly. And so she used to, cooking anything, cook some food for him. And he was a bit of a handyman who would actually help any problems she had in the room. They were very happy together, friendly together, even though they lived in separate places. They weren't related or had any, at that age, no romantic relationship. But anyway, he died one day. And once he died, that's when the people who ran that little old people's home were asking, has he got any next of kin? Because in their papers, they couldn't find a next of kin record. So she said, he often told me he had a brother in UK somewhere. You know where? No, I've got no telephone number or address of his brother. I know he had one there somewhere. That's all I can do. And then what happened was a couple of nights afterwards, she woke up in the middle of the night in her room in the old people's home. She felt somebody touching her face, stroking it. And of course she was terrified. Then maybe somebody had broken into the room in the old people's home. And so she woke up immediately, looked at the door, was fully locked, no window was open. So she thought she was imagining this. So she turned off the light, and tucked herself in again in bed. And then she felt another wind on her. All the windows were blocked. Where did that wind come from? She had no aircon in the little room. And she noticed next to her table there was a piece of tissue paper, all neatly folded, in case she needed it in the middle of the night to sneeze or something. And she swears she saw that tissue paper rise up in the air and then fall to the ground. And on that tissue paper there was some numbers. So she had a telephone in her room. She rang that number. Middle of the night in Perth. Middle of the day somewhere in UK. And she said straight away, she knew exactly what it meant. Please, I've got some bad news. Your brother has died in Perth. His brother had done one last thing for his friend. Was to tell this old lady who'd been his friend for the last few years exactly that he had died, and that this was where the soul next of kin lived. Those are real true stories. What they say is that when a person does die, they don't just disappear. They stay around for a little while in order to make sure that their family and friends looked after and cared for. Many of you had such dreams. I don't know which one of you was the best friend. I don't know, you were sitting in front. Were you his best friend?
We all
All right, excellent. How many of you have been before? good beings. Please don't be afraid, because this was one of the other things. I'm going up a bit off target here, off track. That person I was talking to you, the person who drove me in the car from Serpentine, that
Dhamma.
yeah, okay, over there somewhere. But that best friend I was talking about, he was the first Buddhist I ever met. He was also featured in the biography of Stephen Hawkins. And he was also one thing we shared together. I didn't just study physics. He was also the president of the Psychic Research Society. We'd actually go investigating, hunting ghosts. The reason we did that as scientists, we wanted evidence. Do these things actually exist? Yes, so what are they like? The UK was a very good place to hunt ghosts. It's a very old country. Some terrible things have been done in there. But nevertheless, it's a great field of research. So, this one, because he was into psychic research, he became the president of the Psychic Research Society, and he retired recently, emeritus professor of theoretical physics in Queen Mary College in London University. He's got the cred. One of the creds was actually in all those over 120 years now of research. It's by scientists, not by crazy fools. There's never ever been one instance of a ghost or spirit hurting anybody else. Never ever would they hurt or harm. It was very helpful. And it's weird why that is, but that's true. Even, do you want me to stop talking about ghosts or say something? You know the tsunami story of this was one in Thailand, yeah, in Sri Lanka, many places. I'll tell the Sri Lankan story first, and then the Thai story. The Sri Lankan story of tsunami. There was this gentleman on his way to work and walked past the lagoon. He'd always feel, are you okay sitting on the ground? Do you want to sit on chairs? Yeah. You don't have to sit on a chair. Most modern monasteries have chairs. We have chairs in Dhamma safe and other places. The last thing we want you to do is to suffer here. Anyway, we're not into suffering. We want to escape from suffering. That's part of Buddhism. Anyhow, so every morning on his way to work, he'd have a couple of slices of bread, and he would give them to some fish in the lagoon as he passed by. The fish would always be there to eat some of the bread. And one morning, he saw there was another visitor at that lagoon. It was a crocodile. They're very dangerous, crocodiles. They eat people. You ever seen a crocodile? Be careful. But anyway, he was still had an extra couple of slices of bread. He gave it to the crocodile. From that day on, the crocodile would always come in the morning with the fish to get some bread. Very special breed for a crocodile. You ask a crocodile, they're not bread. But anyhow, then one morning he went there, and he didn't even have a chance to feed the fish. That's when the big wave came, the tsunami. And it just washed him out to sea. And the currents were so strong from the tsunami. He said that he tried first of all to grab on to a chair, but the currents just separated the chair from him. The next thing which he tried to grab onto was a log of wood. Because that was rough on the outside, he could actually hold on to that. And imagine being in a tsunami, he was worried for surviving at any cost. But as he was holding on to the log of wood, he noticed something strange. Everything else was being swept out to sea. His log of wood was going in the opposite direction. He was going towards the shore. He didn't worry why that was going to shore, he was just very fortunate it was. When he got close enough to the bank, he could jump off and scramble up to the shore to dry land. He was safe. He survived. And that's when he noticed that wasn't a log of wood. It was his crocodile. The crocodile had saved his life. Or do you think the crocodile did that because if that guy died, he would get no more bread? It doesn't work like that. It's just out of kindness. But anyway, the other tsunami story, this was a Thai story about this Thai lady in the town of Krabi, a tourist town. And she woke up in the middle of the night with a dream. Actually after a dream. And the dream was of this English girl, young girl, in long blonde hair and torn clothes. The hair was just really a mess. Lots of cuts and bruises on her. And she said to this lady in the dream, "Help me, help me, I'm dead." What would you do if you heard those voices in a dream? "Help me, I'm dead." What would you do?
Scared.
You'd be scared? Don't be scared yet. So she said she was on Phi Phi Island, one of the islands off Phuket, which was hit by the big wave. She said, "Now, I'm dead. I've been pulled out of the water and put in one of the monasteries in Phuket Island, which we use as a temporary morgue. My mobile phone's on the bottom of the ocean. And right now my mum in London is trying to call me. She can't. I'm dead." She said, "Can you please help me? Can you please call my mum, tell her what happened to me, but please don't come to Thailand yet to get my body. I don't want her to see me like this. I'm a young woman. I don't want to have a sight of me like this. Can you please go to Phuket Island, go to this monastery, there you'll find my body, and just get permission to cremate me." And so that's what, and also they gave her some numbers. And then she came out of her dream, really scared, and told her husband. Her husband was English. And I've always reckoned that's probably why this ghost chose this Thai lady to do this job. And so the husband recognised those numbers. That's a legitimate London telephone number. "Call it," said the husband. And Thai people are more afraid of ghosts. They have so many ghost movies than many people I've seen. And so she said, "No way, I'm not calling that number. You do it." So the husband called, and again, it all checked out. The name which that ghost gave her, the mother recognised. She said she was on Phi Phi Island on holiday. And everything was so accurate that she gave her permission. So the next day, I've never seen that girl before. They went to Phuket Island, to that particular temple. Amid the confusion, they saw the dead body look exactly like she'd seen in the dream. So they got permission to do a very fast cremation. Because everything was just so confusing for everybody. They were very happy to bend a few rules to allow the cremation to happen. And after the cremation was done, they managed to phone the mum and say, "It's done. Please come to Phuket." And she came on the next available flight. Mother picked up the daughter's ashes, hugged, cried, said thank you, went home. But that's not the end of the story. One of the reasons why I like telling this. Now, how's the school cricket team doing? Do you still need some funds, to get better kit, better training and stuff? If you do need some extra funds for the school, listen again. Because the next night when they returned home after the cremation was done, after handed over the ashes to the family. The next night she had another dream. The same English lady, but now it was like she'd just been to a spa to have her hair done. Like she was wearing these beautiful clothes. No cuts and bruises on her at all. She said, "You remember me, you helped me. I can't thank you enough. What you've done for me is just so wonderful." And then there's what we call in Buddhism like a heavenly being, now transformed into somebody like your son is now. He said, "I can't thank you enough." And then she gave some new numbers. Not a telephone number. And this Taiwan remembered everything perfectly when she woke up. It wasn't a telephone number. What do you think it was? Yeah, lottery numbers. She won a fortune. So, if you dream of Eddie's spirits tonight or the next night, please ask for some lottery numbers. Half goes to the school. Now don't give any to the monastery, that's too bad, too wrong. And half can go to your family. We will do a little foundation for Dhamma. These spirits are very kind. They don't run away, they just want to tell you that they're fine, they're okay. And there's some, look, I've been a monk for 50 years, over 50 years now. The last 42 years in Perth. I've had so many stories like this. Okay, a Thai story. But I will be quiet afterwards. Maybe. There was this Thai lady married to a Chinese man. And it's a true story, so I'm not making this up. And she came to see me one day. She said, "My stupid husband is really hopeless. I'm very sick. My doctors say I haven't got long to live. I'm going to die soon. Can you please, Ajahn Brahm, I trust you, can you please arrange all the funeral services for me? I want to be cremated. And after the funeral is finished, I don't trust him to pay for it. But can your Buddhist Society of Western Australia, can they pay for the funeral service? And then, in my will, would bequeath half the small apartment they had in Maylands for you. Can you do that deal for me?" I said, "Monks can't do deals." Honestly. So I gave it to our treasurer. He looked at the numbers and said, "Yeah, that's a very good deal." Okay for him, he doesn't have to do any work. So we signed a little, I did sign a little contract, and the will was made. And then she soon died. And then I did a funeral service for them, for the BSWA. And they paid all the bills. And after the funeral was finished, the husband, of course you don't just ask him, "Okay, we've done my part of the bargain, now it's your turn to pay up." You're not like that. As monastics, any religious people should never do that. So it was only after that couple of months that I asked him, I said, "Have you found the will, the trust deed, or whatever it was?" He said, "No, I've lost it. I don't know where it is." And so I never pressed it. Only one morning, a taxi appeared in Serpentine Monastery with him inside of it, really early in the morning. I said, Ajahn Brahm, please accept this now." It was the trust deed. "Here it is, please accept it." "Why have you rushed to give it to me like this? You could always have posted." No. I had to come and hand it to you personally." "Why?" I said. "It was last night. Last night, my wife came. It was a ghost." George, you know where that will is. Go now. Give it to Ajahn Brahm today." I've never seen a person so scared in my life. He was scared of his wife when she was alive. Now as a ghost, that was double scared. So you had to be the will straight away. There are such things as ghosts. They can't harm you, but they can actually scare you to do the right thing. Anyway, I'm going to be quiet now until I get a question. Any questions or comments you have? Is that what you wanted from the talk this evening? Was that helpful? What was the most helpful? What was the most helpful for me? Just hearing from the Dhamma, in the meditation you had.
Yeah, what he's trying to say is help the friends and especially do some good merit stuff and pass to him,
Yeah.
I think last 4 or 5 days I had discussions with monks in Sri Lanka. More than 10-15 activities happening at the moment.
In his name.
Yeah, and his name, I think, is definitely a good cause. It's already there. He's very satisfied and asked me to. The good thing is I had some critical, the points in some Dhamma discussions, which is I never had last 8 years to sort it. But 3 days ago, Dhamma Jiva gave like 2 seconds. I release all the stuff. That's a learning.
Excellent.
And skilled is my mom actually, but I don't know. But I studied hard last 8 years in Buddhism and practicing. But that's discussions to me. People, I all the issues, all the Abhidhamma, everything I studied, but that small point, that's the key point, turning point.
Excellent.
I think that's the key. And he's happy. I think then I thought doing some good, because indeed some monks even helped them few years. I built monasteries in Sri Lanka, but they asked to help offering me giving good chant and all this stuff. They go, I'm very satisfied. I think definitely is his good hand now.
Excellent. I was quite surprised at you. I must admit, you look at peace and happy. It's God's name. He never has peaceful and happy, as if he was still there. You're making the best use of whatever happens in life. This is one of those stories which I'm going to give out now. But many times in life, it's like you tread in a dog poo. Have you ever trod in a dog poo? Got all over your shoes? What do you do if you tread in a dog poo? You don't scrape it off. No, that's the wrong answer. You take it home with you until you get in your garden, and then you scrape it off. In the garden. I mean, in Sri Lanka, there's so many beautiful mango trees. Actually, they're the fruit which I really like when I was in Sri Lanka. They found out and gave me lots of it. It was jackfruit. They're very sweet jackfruit. You can't get it here, that's why I'm telling you. People have tried here, but it's never the same. But anyway, if you scrape it off under the mango tree, you wait a year. What happens? You get sweeter and juicier mangoes than you've ever eaten before. But when you actually start eating that juicy mango, you must always remember, this is what most people forget. What are you really eating? When that juicy mango juice drips down your cheek and so sweet and delicious, remember you're really eating dog poo. That's where it came from. Transformed into the juiciest of mangoes. That's why out of suffering is great fertilizer for wisdom and kindness. And if you're all his friends, please stay his friends. Even afterwards when you go to university, wherever you're going to go, don't just abandon each other. You're friends. I still managed to keep up with the friends I made at university. Even recently, And I'll tell you this story as well, some of the silly things I got up to. I met this friend over made an appointment because he was so busy in Victoria Coach Station in London. And as soon as I saw him, he was wearing a nice suit, I said, "Hi Flash, nice to see you again." That was his nickname, Flash. And he said, "Please, Ajahn Brahm, don't use that name. Not here. Don't want anyone to hear that name." The reason was because his real name was Harry, or Harold, I don't mind saying Harold Clark, with an E on the end. And he did so well at university, and he got this job as an actuary. He was a great mathematician. And he could work out all the odds of how people could die, how likely it was. And he was a head actuary in the whole of Europe. He must have had a huge salary. But, he said that he had to have a good reputation to be working for insurance companies. And he said if they found out why I was called Flash at university, I'd be in big trouble. There's the reason he was called Flash. I know this because I was organising the party in my room in Cambridge. And he once got so drunk, this is why please avoid alcohol. He got so drunk that when he came out from the toilet, he forgot to put his trousers on. He was just so drunk, he didn't realise that. So he got the nickname Flash, because that's what he used to call people who expose themselves, a flasher. So his first name was Harry, so it became Flash Harry, and that became his nickname forever. He said, "Please, don't embarrass me anymore." "Okay, Flash, I won't." "Oh, sorry." We were really good friends, and I enjoyed talking to him for a couple of hours. That's what friendship is like. You know a few secrets, but you don't sort of use them at all to embarrass anybody. So please remember the wonderful times you shared together with Dhamma. And please remember the number of times you've shared beautiful times together with each other. The sort of friends you meet at this time of your life are forever. It doesn't matter what race, religion, gender, whatever you are, you're friends. You've got memories together. Don't forget those. Make sense? I know that one of the reasons why people don't like me talking too much in the evening is you haven't had dinner yet, have you? You got food? Oh, you've got plates out there. Are you getting hungry? But that's a Buddhist way of doing things, when you said to make sort of merit and donate it, to the person who's passed away. Never ever forget him. And if it's something which you think he would want you to do, love you to do, don't just do it and forget about it. Do it in your own time, your own place. Remember that the person's passed away, and share merits with them. I'm doing this for you. Don't just do it if you're a Buddhist, go to a Buddhist temple. No matter what faith religion you are, or no faith, do it what he would be happy with. That's always the best way. One of the, I'm going to tell another story. Don't get too hungry yet. One of the most meaningful little sharing of merits I contributed to. It was one of the leaders of the Khmer community here, who came. I don't know if you've ever seen a movie called The Killing Fields. That describes pretty accurately what had happened in Cambodia, now the Khmer Republic, after the wars in that place. And there was one man, he could identify with that so much that he managed to escape through the jungle paths with his wife, and was very close to being killed many times. They made it over the border into Thailand with his wife, But on that journey, his wife developed malaria. And because of the refugee camp where she went, she couldn't survive. So she died. She came that close to freedom, but lost it at the very last step. In the refugee camp, he met another nice Khmer woman, and they got married. When they came to Perth, of course, they had hardly any funds at all. It took them many years to have enough money to be able to do something. I remember he was married. His wife was sitting next to him. And when it came to the time to do merits, he stepped in front of the little pocket in his shirt. He took out this old photograph of his first wife. It was all dog-eared, been folded many times, the only photo of her which survived. And then he pulled it out in front of him, hands up, said, "These merits are for you." He cried his eyes out. His wife was very happy that he had the opportunity to do that now. He had another relationship now with his new wife, very loving man. And then after the chanting was finished, he put the photo in his pocket again and enjoyed his new wife. It was the way he made merits, even after many, many years. And I thought it was a beautiful little story to share with you. Imagine what it must be like to come so close to freedom. In the very last step, you made it to a safe country, but your wife dies. You'll never forget that. You made merit for her eventually, whenever you can. No comments or criticism? Or are you really hungry now? Okay. So, I sacrificed a little bit today. I said I only returned from UK yesterday afternoon. And even this morning, I intended to get up in time for breakfast, but slept in. Jet lag and tiredness. And we usually have a talk to the monks and many other visitors on a Wednesday evening. But today I came here instead, for each one of you. And so I make merits too, and I dedicate these merits to yourself. That's personal. But each one of you do that's up to you, unforcing. Is that okay? Never forget. Okay. So, because ghosts, investigated ghosts, you'd want to check out that guy, that Bernard Carr, Bernard Carr, Emeritus Professor of Theoretical Physics over in London University. And he's also, I'm not sure, I think he said the link is now easy to find, about President of the London Buddhist, also the London Psychic Research Society. Now I want to say that because these things are not just idle belief. You want to check them out and find out what evidence there is. Are you okay?
Yes.
Anything else I can do for you? Okay. So you're happy? Okay. You're happy?
Yes.
Yeah. What about you guys? I don't know if you ever seen me again in your life. You go one way, I go the other way. Any question you want to ask? Do they like this at school? You never ask questions? Okay, there's one last chance to get a question out of you. Another story. This is actually from Buddhist Sutras. But once this guy came up to the Buddha and asked him, this reincarnation business, what do you have to, what is it in this life? Some people are just so rich, and they don't have to even work hard. They get lots of money, either winning lotteries or parents are rich or inherit something. Why are some people really rich and some people are poor? You know what the Buddha said? The Buddha gave a good answer to that question. And then so he asked another question. You know, the second question, why are some people so beautiful or handsome? Why are some people ugly? No matter how much you go and spend on facial reconstruction or whatever, or go to spas or whatever, why are some people just ugly? Now, when I asked that question, as you probably notice now, I looked at the floor when I said ugly. I also looked at the floor when I said beautiful. It doesn't matter, I get in so much trouble when I look at somebody. I just happen to be looking at the floor, and I say, they're beautiful. Oh, he likes me. And I just look at another girl and say, ugly. Why do you look at me? I think, well, when you said that word ugly. The Buddha gave a good answer to that. The most important question in this little sutta was, why are some people intelligent? Why are some people basically stupid? Why? What's the cause? I mean, you ever notice as a school teacher, some people have got a natural ability. They can understand so well, and they can absorb information, they can keep it. Honestly, when I went to Cambridge as a theoretical physicist, to get a degree, I had an easy time. It wasn't so difficult at all. I remember one of the things we got in one term, and I finished all the work in half the time. So I went and studied some Russian literature. I just spent 1 week, I got War and Peace out of the library, didn't do any other work, just read that. Sometimes, I don't know, it's to teach English, but some of the Russian authors are brilliant. You can actually read it and just, you don't want to put the book down. And I had the chance, I was supposed to be going to lectures and stuff, but I was finished all of that. So I just read that. I read that so much. Okay, another BSWA time. This was one of the meditation techniques which I used. Very simple, very powerful. Called the Emperor's 3 Questions. This emperor, he had enough with the organized religion. That's why if you ever come to any event of voting out in a monastery, it's always disorganized. We don't like organized religion. Well, that's very disorganized. So anyhow, so he made up his own religion. There's only 3 things you really need to know about life. The answer to 3 questions. Question number 1, when is the most important time? Lunchtime? Dinner time? No, you know the answer, so fine. So now is every time you have. Now is where you learn. If you dwell too much in the past, you get stuck in the past. You learn much more from the present than you learn from the past. Honestly. And here's your future. Don't worry about the future. Because now is where your future is being made. So if you do exams, now is the most important time. Not tomorrow when the exam is right in front of you, now. And next question is, who is the most important person? Now's the most important time. Who is the most important person? How many people muttered yourself? If you did, that's the wrong answer.
According to Buddhist, there's no answer.
No, not according to Buddhism, according to truth.
Truth, yes, truth.
Yeah. Who is the most important person? That's not the answer. The most important person is the person right in front of you, whoever that happens to be. So if you're talking to someone you never met before, they come to ask you a question, give them importance. And later on, watch it. Those who have got a partner in life, how much do you think I can answer it later? I can tell them later on, whatever the problem is. That never works. And that's the only time you have. And the person right in front of you, whoever that happens to be, is the most important person in the world. A lot of the time you're with yourself. Then you're the most important person. It's not just the principal, the headmaster. Is it headmaster, headmistress at school? Headmaster. You did hear about the headmaster, oh no, so, the sisters of the mum. So, the mum who couldn't get her son to get up in time to go to school. Do you ever have that trouble getting up in time to go to school? The mother who just sat out to hear with her son would never get up early enough to go to school. So one day she went into his room early. Son, you have to get up to go to school. But Mummy, I don't want to go to school. But son, you have to go to school. Why? Give me one good reason why I should go to school. The other teachers don't like me, the children don't like me, no one likes me at school. You have to go to school, son. Why? Because you're the headmaster. Okay. Anyway, where's I going with this? Oh yeah. Okay. Why is it some kids are really smart and other kids are not so smart? And the way the Buddha answered this question, he said, I'll give you the answer to this one. If you want to be really smart in school, especially in your next life, the best way to be smart is to ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more smart you become. Any questions? Your fault, you know. How did you get this one question on this? No. Okay. Oh well. Universities over in Western Australia or anywhere else will suffer a bit. You know, as any teacher, whatever grade, if your question is, meaningful, you're always congratulated. You're always praised. You want to learn. Learning is not just listening. Learning is questioning. Any question. Knowing. You know one question which people think about? You say this, I'm not reading minds. One of the questions people think about, can we go now? So the answer is yes. You don't need to ask the question, I already answered it for you. Thank you. So what do we do? Okay. You can have it if you wish. You know some... I'm going to shut up. Okay. You know for the future?
Yes.
Okay. It's not extending the role, this is just saying when you make an offering to the monastery, you always pass it around so everyone can share in the offering.
Okay.
It's a beautiful tradition, and I do it before, I know what it is. And when you touch the gift, especially if that's the friends, please, this is for you. I give this to you tonight. And I'll always remember you. Thank you for being my friend. Was je goed afspelen? Afspelen, was je goed op? En dan hoe heet? How do you feel about power by it? No, please? Oh. You didn't play? How many of you played with Brahma? Huh? Okay. Did he have a girlfriend? Or is where is she? Please don't talk to her. In other words, that's what he talked to her. Sorry?
Those things also do we need
Okay. Try
to share? Do we need to share? No.
No, not everybody.
Just these ones. Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah,
Yeah,
leave that
still.
for a while.
just straight.
Actually, that should really be get out. This time, you take 7 hours off. It's just 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is good time. Not sleeping time.
You know, can you come? Can you?
These are the nearest people.
You need to pass the maybe so the brother I always do good karma and pass it.
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Oops.
25.
So what do we do with all these gifts? What do you think?
So, thank you.
Any ideas? You have a monastery with many monks and many nuns as well. And if there's too many which we cannot eat, we share it around with, a lot of times with women's refuges. So bring lots of waste and everything, make sure that they're well used. You know, saying a lot of the other things you guys are up to, not just giving talks or running monasteries. Good news in Sri Lanka recently, on June the 16th. You know about that? What happened in the Supreme Court in Sri Lanka on June 16th? You know we have over here Dhamma Monastery and a few other bhikkhunis here. For so many years that we've noticed that the bhikkhunis, the female monks, nuns, they don't receive much support. For many, many years in Sri Lanka, we've been working hard to try to make sure that they have what's called equity, what we take for granted in Australia. All people treated equally, especially possibly can. One of the biggest problems for establishing bhikkhuni monasteries overseas, in countries like Sri Lanka, they're not recognized. They're not looked upon as legitimate. Even to a simple point that all people have ID cards in Sri Lanka. And for many years, the Sri Lankan government has refused to recognize bhikkhunis on the ID cards. You cannot put in on the ID card like bhikkhuni Hasapanya or bhikkhuni this or bhikkhuni that. And even though in Sri Lanka we recently celebrated Posam Day. What does Posam Day celebrate? That's when Sanghamika, bhikkhuni, brought the Bodhi tree sapling to Sri Lanka. She brought it to Sri Lanka. And once she brought it to Sri Lanka, it was planted in Anuradhapura. And I remember going to Anuradhapura many times because I'm a man I can go into the compound, especially as a monk, and pay respects, sir. You could not. Is that right? When I was bought by a female, and now a female today can't even enter the compound? There's something very wrong with that. But now, at the very least, actually, I'll let you on to one of those other secrets. I was attending a conference over in Sri Lanka with an Australian group, which included bhikkhunis, and are well known in Sri Lanka. So I kind of arranged it that during the conference, on a day when we're having an official visit to Anuradhapura, I made sure I got an invitation from the former Sri Lanka Prime Minister. He's not the Prime Minister anymore, but to give a talk. So I told the conference organisers, well, sorry, I can't go up to Anuradhapura today. I'm invited by the Prime Minister to give a talk. So I got away with that, but then what happened? The next in charge, my delegation, was a bhikkhuni. I knew what was going to happen. It worked. They said, only the leaders of delegations can go into the compound. She was a female. She said, I'm a leader of delegation. I have to be allowed in. Oh, well, I don't know about that, but I'm a leader of delegation. So they let me in. I got an Australian woman into the compound. But the best thing is on June the 16th, we managed to the Supreme Court. They took up the issue and said it's a fundamental abrogation of the human rights. It's against our constitution. We have to recognise the legitimacy of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Now that may seem a small thing for you. I've been working for that for years. And now it's good. Bhikkhus are recognised in Sri Lanka. So, I'm not just a nice calm monk. I do things. Make sure that we make what needs to be done.
A small request, Ajahn. Anyone have any issues in the future, some sort of work-related stress or study-related, any possibility they can reach you, or they can visit the monastery or something?
Oh, you can.
I think that's the one I need to ask the special, not they alone. It doesn't matter the religion and nothing.
Certainly. There's one thing which I don't do is I'm not on not Snapchat or email. That's all I can do. Otherwise, even emails I can't answer them all. Just too many of them. So don't try and just send a text message or something more modern than that. I'm way behind on that. That's why I'm really surprised at this day that I can even say that I went to the World Computer Conference to give a keynote address. Nevertheless, please, if you want to come and visit or see, I'll give that job to you.
Yeah.
Actually liaise.
Yeah. I think that's why Dinath asked me to help.
Yeah.
I think I've received a lot of donations, but one of the things I'm planning to do, stress management, that sort of a thing in the future. So I'm planning to visit Sri Lanka and after helping some cancer children, and after that, that's one of the things I'm planning to do.
It does work. Even like tomorrow, I couldn't sort of delay this meeting until tomorrow. Because tomorrow we have used to be called the Cancer Support Association. Now they've got themselves a big name, Solaris Cancer Support Association. For about 35 years, I've been going to teach at their centre over in Cottas Road. It's a statewide centre. But also, they've always been coming to the monastery once a year. Tomorrow they're coming. We organised this months ago. Coming tomorrow. I won't be able to come to your Dharma. And tomorrow I've given that to the Cancer Support Association. It'll be a couple of years. The reason is because the sort of things which you talk to them about actually work. Even recently, I thought it was like a scam request. And that was, I don't mind saying it now, it was from Rahul Gandhi. He was the head of the Congress Party over in India. He lost his last election, but nevertheless, his cousin had cancer in the US, and his sister was also very interested in hearing these talks. So we had a special Zoom meeting, just the three of us. It actually worked, some of these teachings. And obviously you can have it for free. It's not in it for fame or fortune or money or anything, it's just to be able to give and to serve. That's kind of what I do. It's wonderful if you can teach and many people can hear. You can help. Even I go to Hong Kong once a year, and it's requested me to go again next February or March. But one of the places I go is at the Chinese University in Hong Kong every year. One of the reasons I went there was because they were having many student suicides. And I don't know what I did, I must admit, but every time I go there, it does actually affect the student suicide rate goes down. That's why they keep asking me. Some of it works. I don't understand why, but I think it works and I'll go again. Okay, so please always know you never alone. There's always many people love you. I mean that. Really care for you. And spend time just making sure the low times in your life, they don't last. Be happy of it. As I said, if I'd have not been encouraged to study, I could have been a champion footballer by now. You're good at soccer. Anyhow, my role in life was to be a teacher. Much more fun. Don't you agree? Being a teacher, much more fun. Yeah, any of your students that would come up to you and say, thank you for saving my life. Excellent, that's a great job. Careful. Okay, Elliot, go off talking again. Can you take the microphone away from me? I'm supposed to give a blessing.
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Don't think I'm not going to give the traditional blessing.
Yes.
What I'm going to do now is one of the other things we've tried to do recently, actually for quite a few years now, is whenever we give blessings, does it really work when you don't understand the word of what I'm saying? When it's in Pali. So instead we're going to do it in English. This is the Metta Sutta in English. Loving kindness. This is the direct translation of what the Buddha spoke. Anyone who knows the words, please welcome with me. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, not busy with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later regret, wishing living in gladness and in safety. May all beings be happy, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born. May all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to falsehoods, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that's the free accurate translation. The Metta Sutta. Many of you who've lived in Sri Lanka have probably heard it many times. Karami Yamata Kusamayana Yantam Santam. But this Prana was run in English. Free accurate translation. Who found it interesting? And I share the merits of that with yourself.
Thank you.